Welcome back. Tonight I have stories that will make you question the person sleeping in the room next to yours. We think of home as a sanctuary, but what if the real danger is already inside? Sharing your space, your food, your life. These are true accounts from people who thought they knew their roommates, only to discover the terrifying truth. So, turn down the lights, lock your door, and prepare yourself for true roommate horror stories. Let's begin. College. A time of new beginnings, newfound freedom, and, for many, the first experience of living with a complete stranger. Chloe, a bright-eyed and optimistic college sophomore, was excited to move into her new apartment. After weeks of searching online, she finally found Sarah, a seemingly perfect roommate. Their initial conversations were promising. They shared similar interests, had compatible schedules, and both seemed eager to create a harmonious living environment. Little did Chloe know, this seemingly ideal arrangement would soon devolve into a terrifying nightmare. The first few weeks were uneventful. Chloe and Sarah established a routine, respecting each other's space and schedules. But as time went on, Chloe began experiencing a growing sense of unease. It started subtly, a feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation on the back of her neck when she was alone in her room. She tried to dismiss it as stress from school, but the feeling persisted. Then, Chloe began waking up at night, often in a cold sweat, with the distinct and unsettling conviction that someone was standing over her, watching her as she slept. The darkness seemed to hold a presence, a silent observer that sent shivers down her spine. As the nights went by, the unsettling feeling intensified. Chloe found herself increasingly on edge, constantly looking over her shoulder. Then, she started noticing small things out of place in her room. A book that she was sure she had left on her desk was now on the floor. A drawer that she always kept closed was slightly ajar. These incidents were minor, easily explainable, but they contributed to Chloe's growing anxiety. She questioned her own memory, wondering if she was simply becoming forgetful or careless. But deep down, a nagging suspicion began to take root. One evening, Chloe came home from class to find her closet door ajar. She distinctly remembered closing it that morning. The clothes inside seemed slightly askew, as if someone had been rummaging through them. This was no longer a minor incident. This felt like a deliberate violation of her personal space. Driven by a growing sense of paranoia, Chloe decided to conduct a little experiment. She placed a small piece of tape across the crack between her door and the door frame before going to bed. The next morning, she woke up with a knot in her stomach and rushed to the door. Her heart pounded in her chest as she saw it. The piece of tape on her door was broken by morning. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. It wasn't her imagination. She wasn't being paranoid. Someone was entering her room while she slept. The thought sent a wave of nausea through her. The feeling of being watched was no longer just a feeling. It was a terrifying reality. Chloe knew she had to find out who was invading her privacy and violating her sense of safety. She couldn't confront her roommate directly without proof, but she couldn't continue living in fear. So, one night, fueled by a mixture of dread and determination, Chloe pretended to sleep. She lay perfectly still in her bed, her eyes barely open, listening intently for any sound. Hours passed, and Chloe's muscles began to ache from holding still. Just as she was about to give up, she heard it, the soft creak of the door slowly opening. She kept her eyes fixed on the ceiling, her heart pounding in her chest. Through her barely open eyelids, she saw Sarah silently standing in her room just watching. The sight sent a jolt of pure terror through her. Paralyzed by fear, Chloe waited until Sarah, after what felt like an eternity, finally turned and left, closing the door softly behind her. She lay there for what seemed like hours, her body trembling, her mind racing. As soon as she was sure Sarah was asleep, Chloe gathered a few essential belongings, her hands shaking so badly she could barely grip them, then fled the apartment, not daring to look back. She spent the rest of the night in her car, too afraid to go anywhere else. Chloe knew she couldn't go back to that apartment without solid proof of what was happening. The next night, determined to gather irrefutable evidence, Chloe set up a webcam on her desk, carefully positioning it to capture a clear view of her bed. The next morning, with trembling hands, Chloe reviewed the webcam footage. What she saw confirmed her worst fear. There, on the screen, was Sarah. Just as Chloe suspected, she entered the room while Chloe was asleep, stood silently over her bed, and watched her for nearly an hour. The footage was chilling, a stark and undeniable record of Sarah's disturbing behavior. Armed with the video evidence, Chloe immediately called the police, her voice shaking with a mixture of fear and anger. The police responded quickly. Sarah was arrested at the apartment, the flashing lights of the police cars illuminating the dark night. During the interrogation, Sarah admitted to watching Chloe sleep for weeks. When asked why, she couldn't provide a coherent explanation. She simply shrugged and said she didn't know, leaving the police baffled and Chloe even more disturbed. Understandably traumatized, Chloe broke her lease and moved back home, seeking the comfort and security of her family. But even surrounded by loved ones, Chloe couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She was haunted by the image of her roommate in the dark, the silent, unsettling presence that had invaded her life. Sometimes, the scariest monsters aren't the ones lurking in the shadows of a haunted house, but the ones you unknowingly let into your life, the people you trust who harbor hidden darkness. In retrospect, were there signs that Chloe missed? Subtle clues that hinted at Sarah's disturbing tendencies? Would you have noticed the signs before it was too late? Or would you still be sleeping, oblivious to the silent watcher in the dark? Mark's senior year house was plagued by vanishing food. He labeled everything, but the thefts continued. Suspecting his broke roommate Kevin, Mark set up a hidden camera. The footage revealed not a roommate, but a gaunt, disheveled woman raiding the fridge at night. She disappeared into the pantry, then vanished. Mark and his roommates discovered a hidden crawl space behind the pantry wall. Police found the woman living in the walls, surviving off their food for months. The roommates broke their lease, shaken by the violation. Sometimes the stranger in your home isn't a roommate at all. How well do you really know who's sharing your space? Would you have found her? Or would you still be missing your midnight snack? Sleep tight. Jessica, eager for a fresh start, moved into an old house. It was a charming place filled with character and history, or so she thought. The house had high ceilings, creaky floors, and an undeniable sense of mystery that both intrigued and unsettled her. She hoped this new beginning would bring her peace and happiness, a sanctuary away from the chaos of the city. Little did she know the house held secrets far darker than she could ever imagine. She shared the space with David, an eccentric artist. He was a man of few words, often lost in his own world of colors and canvases. His studio was a chaotic explosion of creativity, filled with half-finished paintings, brushes, and the lingering scent of turpentine. Jessica found him intriguing, yet there was an unsettling aura about him that she couldn't quite place. David always kept his room locked, a space shrouded in secrecy. He claimed it was his sanctuary, a place where he could fully immerse himself in his art without distractions. But Jessica couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease about the locked door. What was he hiding? What secrets did those walls conceal? The mystery gnawed at her, fueling her curiosity. As she settled in, Jessica noticed a peculiar anomaly in the apartment's layout, a mysterious dead space that didn't seem to align with the building's structure. It was as if a room was missing, a void hidden behind the walls. She consulted the building's blueprints, but they offered no explanation. The more she investigated, the more convinced she became that something was amiss. One weekend, David announced he was leaving to visit family. Jessica watched him go, a mix of relief and apprehension washing over her. With David gone, the house felt eerily quiet, amplifying the mystery of the locked room and the hidden space. Curiosity, a dangerous and irresistible force, got the better of her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to uncover the truth, to solve the puzzle that David and the house presented. The temptation to explore the forbidden was too strong to resist. Driven by an insatiable need to know, she meticulously searched David's room, her heart pounding with each passing moment. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she found it. A hidden door, seamlessly integrated into the wall. It was a marvel of deception, cleverly concealed from plain sight. The door was concealed behind a large, ornate tapestry hanging on the wall, a tapestry that seemed to blend perfectly with the room's decor. It was a masterful illusion, designed to keep prying eyes away from the secrets hidden within. After a frantic search, she discovered an old, tarnished key cleverly disguised within one of David's paintings. With trembling hands, she inserted the key into the lock, and with a soft click, the hidden door swung open, revealing the darkness within. Inside, she found a secret room, a chilling testament to obsession. The walls were covered in hundreds, perhaps thousands of photos of Jessica. It was a disturbing and surreal sight, a violation of her privacy that sent shivers down her spine. There were photos of her sleeping, completely unaware of the watchful eyes that captured her most vulnerable moments. Photos of her cooking, going about her daily routine, each image a piece of a disturbing puzzle. There were even photos taken in the bathroom, intimate and private moments stolen without her consent. The realization of the extent of David's obsession washed over her, leaving her feeling violated and terrified. In the center of the room, on a makeshift altar, were her missing belongings, small, personal items that she had noticed disappearing over time. They were meticulously arranged, almost reverently, like a shrine dedicated to her. It was a macabre display of obsession, a chilling glimpse into David's twisted mind. The truth hit her like a tidal wave. David hadn't gone to visit family. It was all a lie, a carefully constructed deception to test her. He'd left to see if she would discover his secret, to see if she would fall into his carefully laid trap. He was watching, waiting, eager to see her reaction. Overcome with fear and disgust, Jessica ran from the house, desperate to escape the clutches of her stalker. She didn't hesitate. She called the police, her voice trembling as she recounted the horrifying discovery. Jessica never returned to that house, forever haunted by the secrets it held. The walls of your home, the place where you should feel safest, may hide more than you think. Be aware of your surroundings and trust your gut. Would you have opened that door, risking the unknown horrors that lay beyond? Or would you have remained blissfully ignorant, still living under the same roof as a stalker, your every move watched and documented? Some secrets are better left undiscovered, some doors are better left unopened. The pursuit of truth can sometimes lead to unimaginable darkness. Trust your instincts, pay attention to the subtle signs, and never ignore that nagging feeling that something isn't right. Your life may depend on it. College. A time of new beginnings, late-night study sessions, and forging lifelong friendships. For Alex and Ben, it was all of that, and something far more unsettling. They were typical college roommates, sharing the cramped quarters of a dorm room, navigating the ups and downs of university life. They bonded over shared classes, questionable cafeteria food, and the universal struggle of balancing academics with a social life. Little did they know, their ordinary college experience was about to take a sharp turn into the extraordinary, a chilling mystery that would test their friendship and their sanity. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. A fleeting glimpse, a nagging feeling that something was amiss. Then the impossible happened. Alex saw Ben in two places at once. It defied logic, shattered the boundaries of reality as he knew it. Was it a trick of the light, a figment of his sleep-deprived imagination, or was something far more sinister at play? The seed of doubt was planted, and it began to grow, casting a long shadow over their once normal lives. He'd spot Ben on campus, across the bustling quad, laughing with friends or hurrying to class. Alex would wave, call out his name, but the figure would either not notice or simply vanish into the crowd. Each sighting left Alex with a growing sense of unease, a feeling that he was losing his grip on reality. The unsettling part was that moments later he would find him in their room, studying, relaxing, or completely unaware of having been seen elsewhere. "Where were you just now?" Alex would ask, his voice laced with a mixture of confusion and apprehension. Ben would look up, a puzzled expression on his face, and reply, "I've been here all along." Then came the calls, cryptic and unsettling. Alex's phone would ring, displaying Ben's name, but when he answered, there would be only silence, or a distorted, unrecognizable voice, and texts from Ben, messages filled with strange symbols, nonsensical phrases, or inside jokes that Ben swore he never sent. The digital world, once a source of connection and communication, had become a conduit for the bizarre and the inexplicable. While Ben insisted he hadn't sent them, vehemently denying any knowledge of the calls or texts, he was just as bewildered and disturbed by the events as Alex was. The accusations and denials created a rift between them, a growing suspicion that threatened to unravel their friendship. Friends claimed to see Ben in places he couldn't possibly be, attending different classes simultaneously, hanging out at different parties on the same night. The stories multiplied, each one more outlandish and unsettling than the last. The whispers and stares followed Ben wherever he went, turning him into an object of curiosity and suspicion. The incidents escalated, growing bolder and more menacing. The once subtle occurrences transformed into blatant displays of the impossible, pushing Alex and Ben to the brink of terror. Sleep became a luxury, replaced by sleepless nights filled with paranoia and dread. One night, Alex, unable to sleep, ventured out into the dimly lit hallway. He saw Ben in the hallway, standing motionless at the far end, his back to him. He turned to find another Ben standing silently in their dark room, his eyes fixed on him with an unnerving intensity. Two Bens existing in the same space at the same time. The impossible had become reality. The figure stepped toward him, its movements slow and deliberate, its presence radiating an aura of menace. Alex felt a primal fear grip him, a sense of impending doom that paralyzed him with terror. Alex slammed the door and screamed, a desperate cry for help that echoed through the silent dorm. He didn't know what he had seen, but he knew he had to escape. Both roommates moved out the next day, severing all ties with the university, desperate to escape the nightmare that had consumed their lives. They couldn't explain what had happened, but they knew they couldn't stay. Never solving the mystery, never understanding the forces that had conspired to torment them. The doppelganger incident remained an enigma, a chilling reminder of the fragility of reality. Doppelgangers, mythical doubles, harbingers of misfortune and reflections of our deepest fears. Glitches in reality, cracks in the fabric of space-time, or something far more sinister lurking just beyond our perception? Or something else? A malevolent entity, a cosmic prankster, or a glimpse into a parallel dimension? How would you react if you saw your roommate, your friend, someone you trusted implicitly, seemingly in two places at once, and then saw them again, defying the laws of physics, shattering your understanding of the world? Sometimes the scariest thing is not knowing what's real, questioning your senses, doubting your sanity, and facing the terrifying possibility that the world is not what it seems. Would you stay, clinging to the familiar, hoping to find a rational explanation even as the world around you crumbles? Or would you run, fleeing from the unknown, seeking refuge in the comfort of ignorance, desperate to escape the terrifying truth? Some mysteries are better left unsolved, some doors are better left unopened, and some truths are too terrifying to face. Sleep well, if you can, for in the realm of shadows and dreams, the line between reality and illusion blurs, and the doppelganger may be waiting. The unknown might be closer than you think, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal itself. Be careful what you wish for, because sometimes the truth is far more terrifying than the mystery. These stories remind us the most ordinary people and places can hide the darkest secrets. Trust your instincts. That uneasy feeling might be your only warning. Have you ever had a roommate horror story? Share it in the comments. If you want more true tales that keep you up at night, subscribe and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay safe and try to get some sleep, if you can.